So we're going to have first a live interview with Dr. Ramzi Salti. He is a lecturer in the Arabic department, and he has a radio show called Arabology on KZSU, and that's on every Thursday. He's going to be conducting a live interview and discussion with Omar Offendum and our three members of DAM, Tamer, Suhell, and Mahmood. And then we're gonna leave it up to you guys to ask some questions for 15 minutes, whatever you'd like to know about the globalization of hip hop. And but leading the interview portion of the show is gonna be Dr. Ramzi Salti. So I want to welcome everybody up on stage. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Tamer, Mahmood, Omar, and Suhell. Yalla.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
It's so nice to see everybody here. I'm Ramzi Salti. I've been teaching Arabic here for 15 years, which technically makes me, I think, yes, the oldest person in the room. I think half the audience I've taught Arabic, the other half, by the end of tonight, you'll be taking my Arabic class. So start signing up. It's so nice to see everybody here. And as Farah said, I also have a radio show called Arabology on KZSU. And that show was, one of the first shows to actually highlight something called Arabic hip hop. Because like a lot of people who come from the Arab world, I didn't know that there was such a thing as Arab hip hop. I thought, this is purely a Western notion. And the globalization of hip hop has been amazing. And here I am, a 40-some-year-old guy who's like addicted to Arabic hip hop. So it tells you that it can reach anybody from any background at any time. And truly, to me, when some of my, let's say, more elitist colleagues at Stanford heard about me being involved with the Tradition and Modernity globalization of hip hop, with the spotlight on the Middle East today, they were like, "What? You think you're 20? You think?" And I said, "No. If you really listen to hip hop, it doesn't really matter what age you are. Number one, number two, this is poetry. This is exactly what poetry used to do to people. I think it moves people when you listen to them. I remember hearing Omar Offendum's Qari'at al-Fijjan, and just the way it was presented got me addicted to the song. It got me to look into his work, and of course then that English translation. I suddenly became very cool. I started using gestures in class, and then to talk about the group DAM, because to me, I don't know if this is too relevant, but I don't have kids, so to me when I see this younger generation of what could be my kids doing such amazing stuff. Shukran Habib, bakshish jai. I paid them before to make me feel young. But seriously, the kind of impact they've had, these are not kids or young men who grew up with the easiest life, and to actually take to music and sing despite circumstances that can be very, very difficult. It's just surviving that and then turning it into an artistic art form is, I think, a victory of its own. So ahlan wa sahlan bikum fi Jami'at Stanford. And I'm going to be asking maybe some general questions that maybe some of you or most of you would like to know. But I'm not going to lead the whole thing because we're going to turn it over to questions from you as well. This is your chance to ask them anything you want. I spoke to all four of them. They said you can ask anything. So you don't have to censor yourselves tonight. Well, alhamdulillah. I don't know, Farah, you want me to sit down or stay up here? I am getting old. I think there's enough. All right. Not في هذا الميكروفون.
Let's get a round of applause for Farah and for Ramzi.
Yes. Yes, I'd rather be sitting because we don't want this to be, formal. We want everybody to be comfortable. So let me start with a question that everybody asked me to ask, because whenever we play a song by DAM or by Omar Offendum, the phones at the radio station don't stop, and it's amazing. People call. Some of them are like, Arab Americans living here who can't believe that on 90.1 FM, right in their car, they're hearing Qari'at al-Finjan, or they're hearing, one of DAM's songs. And they're like, I have been living here 30 years and I never hear Arabic. So let me begin by asking maybe DAM about the name, because there's a lot of debate. Does it mean blood in Arabic? Does it stand for something? How did you come up with the name?
First of all, I would like to say thank you for having us, first of all. And then for me personally, I don't want to answer this question first. Oh. I want to just say something. It's really emotional for me to be here on like a table having DAM and Omar and Ramzi same time, because unfortunately we can't have this thing in Palestine. We can't have this in Syria. He can come to Palestine and we can go to Syria and he can. So it's like really kind of confusing emotional things for me. And now I'll get to the question. DAM stands for الشيء الذي يدوم, DAM, دائما, immortal, eternity, and you can, in Hebrew it's blood, if it's without the A, and in English it's the Arabian MCs. So we mixed it all together, just trying to act deep, like we're really smart. But so we say, even if we see blood, the Arabian MCs will stay eternal. The Arabian MCs will be immortal.
And who came up with the name? Was it all three of you?
The name at the beginning came with DAM, from DAM, And just when we grew up, and because it sounded cool when we were teenagers, but during time we started doing shows at universities and we sounded stupid, so we had to find a good meaning. But at the beginning it was just DAM,
The Arabian MC.
But DAM from eternity, it have a lot of ab'ad.
Depths.
Yeah, a few. But one of them is yes. When a guy like Lieberman says we don't want Arab here, so DAM will, as Palestinians will stay here forever. If somebody says that hip hop is something that will pass, no, as artistically will stay here forever. So it just بالبالة كل شيء يعني.
It suits every occasion, I guess. And let me ask the same of Omar. Omar Offendum. من وين أجى الاسم? Where did we get that name? I mean, it sticks with you, I'll tell you that.
Offendum, it was like a stroke of genius when I was like 17. I wish I had like really any more depth to it. But basically, I was part of a hip-hop crew when I first started. I was in college. Me and a Sudanese friend of mine I grew up with, called the Nomads, notoriously offensive male Arabs discussing shh. When I was growing up, when I would act up around the house or whatever, my mom would call me Effendi, Amr Effendi, and for those who don't know, Effendi is it's like a title of nobility or a ranking within Ottoman culture or Turkish culture. So it's like saying sir or lord. And Offendum is the possessive form. So often in the Middle East, whether it's Turkey or even Egypt, people will say Offendum out of respect to you. And me spelling it with an O obviously was with the intention of conjuring up offensive imagery here in the States. Offendum, he's going to offend us, when in reality it actually means something very kind of noble and respectful. So for the name to embody the disconnect that happens there linguistically between something over there and something here was really important to me, because it in itself was a conversation starter. And then just on a personal note, my mother's grandfather is Turkish. His name was Omar. He's the one I was named after, and he was actually Effendi, Omar Effendi. So that's kind of where it came from. So
he lives on through your music.
Yeah, I don't know what he would think about my music. I've seen one picture of him. It was like an old black and white photo. He had a big long curly mustache, big scary guy.
You're like, nice beat, man.
So yeah, maybe I should. Yeah.
revisit them.
Revisit that. We'll see.
So for the group DAM, I don't know if you guys know, but they have 2 albums, officially released albums. They've been involved in many other things. The first one is called Ihda, which means dedication. And the second one, that's brand new and that's playing on KZSU like every other hour, is called Nutbukh al-Omar, Dabke on the Moon. Can you tell us how the first album came about and how different the second album is from the first one?
Well, first album Dedication was out 2006, the end of 2006, the beginning of 2007. It was a very, very clear, obvious, direct message that we wanted to deliver. So it was like shooting a documentary film, but musically, doing it in dedication. And this is what we did. It had social, political, personal songs. It actually had more social songs than political songs, but because we come from Palestine, so everyone is concentrating on the political side, though the album wasn't, if I need to call it a political album, I wouldn't call it political album. Dabke on the Moon is much different. We worked with, the first one we worked with different producer, and the second one we worked with another producers who are coming from the pop world, with a famous producer from Denmark, because we wanted to try and to experience new things in our music. And it was more as a feature, if I want to describe it as a feature film. Yeah, it's just telling stories. We did this album and we told stories. We told stories of prisoners. We told stories of women that are killed under the name of honor killing. And that was Dabke on the Moon. It was very, I don't know if to call it mainstream music, but it was definitely different than the Dedication album. We just tried to experience a new thing musically and also lyrically.
Which brings me to this question about this, the song "Law Arja Bizaman." If I could go back in time, which I believe Amal Murkhos participated. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. It's a really powerful video about honor killings and something that takes place in some parts of the Arab world, and which, in my opinion, is a very shameful practice. That was a very gutsy move on your part. And I'm going to be frank with you, not everybody supported that video. A lot of people, including, like, I don't know if you've read on Jadaliya, you were kind of criticized for maybe further demonizing the Arabs and Islam at a time where the West seems to be doing that so systematically. But at the same time, when you watch the video, you're moved by the fact that so many women have been silenced, have been killed for something as simple as, the very rumor that they have lost their quote-unquote honor, even in this day and age. How problematic has that been for you to be received with high praise and high criticism?
I'll try to make it shorter, but it's
Big one.
It is a big one, yeah. First of all, reactions I had, the Jadaliya thing, it was from 2 women who lives in the US, in the Western world. They didn't like it, I will get to that later. But most of the girls in Lid, where I live, I remember Suhell Mahmood, when we did it in Ramallah, the first preview in Ramallah, women in the crowd start crying, and I'm talking about her, and it was about them, not about people who are, it's about them, not about people. That's how it started, not about people who are living in the West, because I consider it honor killing, it's my problem, and me as an Arab male, I want to face it and say, it's my fault, I want to fix it now. And I think it so reflects the Arab Spring. It came with the Arab Spring. Millions got out to change the way they live. So I think it's a shame that they thought that way. This is one. Second, funny thing, when I wrote it, we live in Lid. Lid have at least 15, 16 murders over honor killing. And it's girls we know, over the rumor of sex. And even if they had, I'm going to take it for, even if they had sex and orgies, I don't think it's a reason, if you wanna go that way, I think that there's a funny part with عادل إمام. لو كل واحد نام عجب واحدة رقصة في البلد كل بلد هتنام بالشارع يا مان. The same, if you wanna kill them, most of the men will be dead today because we do worse than that. This is one. So it's women we know, it's girls we know. If we didn't know the women, we knew the guy who killed them. So we live that, and I think it's about time to end. So when I wrote that song, when we wrote that song, I wrote it to the Arab women. And I had a call to do a phone with an Israeli radio, and the host was, we have DAM, the new single, it's about honor killing. And just to remind you people, only this week 2 women were killed, and she mentioned 2 Israeli Jewish names. So it's beyond. It's against women, and it's about against the violence against women in general. One last thing that I had actually a good answer, but I forgot. One second.
You mentioned the 2 women here in the States.
I think something with when, and I can understand that the West, a lot of Western people see us as bad people, evil people, and a lot of Arabs from the outside see us as these Arabs, brave Palestinians. And if they see us only this and only this, then that makes us unhuman. And if these 2 women they want us just to be this beautiful, handsome Palestinian muqawam that fights only the Israelis, then it's not it. We are also a society. Each society has its problems. And if I'm brave enough to face it, then that means I'm talking about a new generation. And I think that you should buy a mirror, put it in your house, and also, sorry for the long answer.
No, but that's exactly what
If you clapped before, I would have stopped, so you should have.
There's a domestic violence everywhere, and it's something known. And us as kids who started rapping political stuff, and then suddenly, when you go to protests in Palestine or protests in my city, when there's demolishing houses, suddenly you see people in the protest walking with you in a protest that you organized, and they telling you that they came to this protest because of our songs, and this is how they got knowledge for the political reason. So I think we have to do that too.
Yeah.
I think we have to give knowledge. If we have influence with this part, we have to give other influence. And if DAM would be just singing politic and just singing about Palestine and not singing social stuff and not singing even fun stuff or just hip hop or just having fun, we're really bad and not human, and we're fake, and we're using the political situation, and we're using Palestine and we're using the dead people who've been dying and fighting. And I don't want to be that person who's using just where I'm coming from.
Yeah. I'm going to include Omar in this because, we're talking maybe about resistance being sort of what's expected. It's always resistance literature, resistance lyrics. There are Palestinian groups, all their songs have to be about Palestine, and if they segue into women's rights or women's honor killings, they get sometimes criticized, as we saw. Do you feel that hip-hop, in terms of the globalization and in terms of your own music, has grown to encompass more topics and broaches more subjects than what initially used to happen?
Well, yeah. First of all, yes. I guess that's the short answer. But what I actually wanted to ask the guys just something artistic and stylistic about the song. What made you want to write it backwards the way that you did? For those who aren't familiar with it, it's a song about, I guess you could say it's a song about honor killings, but they actually wrote it as a narrative that starts at the very end where she gets killed, and then it actually works backwards. Nas did a song like that a while ago, And
I would say that we are very influenced from Nas. And yes, when we thought of it, Nas was a reference.
It was, okay.
Definitely, Rewind is an amazing song, Why? I think that when a woman get killed, murder, it stops right there, Nobody asks, sorry for بس شرموطة ماتت نقطة خلاص it is, unfortunately, guys. Even just take the body, it's like a race. When a car have an accident, just remove it and continue the and they don't, and even sometimes if the father rushes to the hospital just to bring she had that she was a virgin, and that's it, just to prove that she died, and that's it, it stops. So we decided that it stops here. Why? Let's go back. She died, she was named the word that I said. So I want to go backwards to see where she did wrong. Was it here? Was it here? And it ends. It starts with her death, and it ends when when we know what she did wrong, when the doctor says you got a girl, and because when you are a girl, in an Arab society, I will not try to make it something universal, because especially in an Arab society, then you are guilty until you are proven innocent. That's why I went that way.
Well, thanks for answering that. And then I just wanted to also note about the Jadaliyya stuff that had happened. For those who aren't familiar, again, the Jadaliyya is a website, online news kind of source that started up basically right after the Arab Awakening or Arab Spring. Very academic, very kind of heady writing, very critical, very great work. But this particular piece that criticized them, I felt just kind of was way off base. And what was really annoying about it was that it was kind of, it was disingenuous. I mean, they were talking about how huge fans of them they were and how disappointed they were that you guys decided to do this. And it's like, well, if you were really fans and you really felt that way, then you could write them. They're very accessible. They're very easy. I'm sure he would have responded right away. You didn't have to put them on blast to kind of show off your academic prowess.
Sorry, but you know what pissed me off more?
What?
You know what pissed me off more? They said that we fell victim to the Western propaganda. That means we sold out or we're stupid. One of these two things. That what pissed me off. Because we didn't sell out, we are stupid. But we didn't sell out.
No, also, like, they pointed out...
Say we are stupid!
They pointed out, they said, oh, why, and then why the UN? Well, you mentioned how you had reached out to other organizations and nobody wanted to support the video or the project, nobody responded except them. And, so that was an important point to be made. But back to your question, Ramzi, I mean, for a long time, while I was doing what I was doing, nobody really knew where I was from. Just kind of being Arab American, associating with a lot of different cultures in the Arab world. I mean, I was born in Saudi Arabia, I had Palestinian family members, Egyptian family members, and so I kind of just more generally just associated myself with Arab more than anything specific, even though if you'd asked me, I'd always tell you I was Syrian. But the songs and the way people started to take them in, for a long time people thought I was Palestinian. There's that Palestinian rapper because he's rapping about Palestine. And then I did a song about the Egyptian revolution. I was on Al Jazeera and I said Egyptian rapper below me because they never bothered to ask or inquire. And then the Syrian revolution started and I created a song about the revolution in Syria. And then it's like, oh, there's the Syria guy now. Now we know who he is. He's the Syria guy, And I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not shocked by any of that because I think I've done it myself in the past. Watching music videos, you kind of just start to project onto the person things that you assume you think you know about them, about their life. You think you know everything about them because you've seen a 2-minute video clip about somebody. So once I started seeing people do it, to me, I was like, okay, I see how this works. And, took a step back and realized that, for me, at the end of the day, I'm a human being who's making art with a particular purpose or, desire to kind of do it as truthfully and honestly as possible with my experience while still being art and, writing narratives and stories about other experiences I can relate to. So as long as I was coming from that place and making sure it was coming from an honest place, I didn't need to worry about what people were saying or how they were kind of internalizing the things that I was saying. That's on them, and I kind of freed myself of that burden, I guess. And it liberates you, but it took a long time to kind of get to that point, It's hard. Because as an artist, you also start to get, especially today, when you have access to people's comments every single day on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Oh my God, I can't believe they just said that about my mother. It's like, you never even met her before. But it happens, and you just grow thick skin and you kind of move on and, make sure that the art is always getting better. That's the most important part of that,
Absolutely. Now, this next question is a little emotional because we spoke before the show, and I was trying to tell all 4 of these amazing young men here how their music has a profound impact on people, despite the generations and the language barrier. Sometimes it's just accessible, it speaks to you. And we spoke of a young man who unfortunately passed away, who was a huge fan of DAM, and who always listened to that album like non-stop. And I just remember him always saying, it makes you feel better, they understand, their music speaks to me, you cannot find that. And unfortunately, he was in Jordan, and he didn't have maybe much access to rap music in Arabic. how do you guys feel when you know that you're moving people so deeply and that you're speaking to the experiences of people not just in Palestine but all over the Arab world, people who are marginalized, who are oppressed, can relate through your music to what you're going through?
Amazing.
أول شيء الله يرحمه طبعا. I think because we coming from a place that it is very hard, that have a big poverty problem and big drug problem, and of course a huge political problem, as you know. When I speak about my neighborhood, when I speak about my poverty, when I speak about Arab on Arab crimes, or police on Arab crime, or soldiers on Palestinian crime, Arab against Arabs. When I speak about the right of the return for the Palestinian refugees, then of course I will affect many people that feel or live the same thing that I live, because they feel connected to my message, they feel connected to my lyrics, and they can put themselves in that song in different ways. And the funny thing, I was affected in the beginning by Tupac, and I was affected by him from images, because I only saw the images. I didn't understand English back then, but I saw the neighborhood, and I saw the poverty, and I saw that he talked about political problems, and I felt connected to that music because he talked to me. So I guess it is the same thing when you are talking about issues that they are real and they are happening. Then people will feel connected to you and connected to your message and to what you are trying to do.
Yeah. Now, in terms of reception, though, you know, do you feel that you have more, I don't want to say better reception, but are you more accepted in the Arab world, in the West, or in, let's say, Lid, where you have a very different kind of population that you can speak to directly?
I wouldn't know how to measure it, but if I measure it by concerts, it's my third time in Stanford, and I only had one show in Lid. I did 20 shows in Paris, and I only had one show in Lid. Not just that, it's beyond that. I had 30 shows in New York, I only had one show in Amman. So,
why is that, Tamer? I mean, why?
I would, at the beginning, I think it's the Israeli passport. In general. I have an Israeli passport. And I don't get invited to Israeli festivals because I'm a Palestinian, and I don't get invited to Arabic festivals because I'm an Israeli. So in a way that some kind of a schizophrenia that they decided that I don't have. I would say that's my main problem. I would call it discrimination, yani. And in general, I think alternative music, before it becomes mainstream, I think hip-hop, when it started as hip-hop, rock and roll when it started as rock and roll, it just takes time until it proves its spot. Also, so it's also the evolution of the alternative music and the new revolutionary music, plus an Israeli passport. I guess that's my...
Yeah, because I guess, maybe we're taking this for granted, but many Arab countries will not let people with an Israeli passport even perform. But we're speaking about, a Palestinian group here, the first hip-hop group from the area who are affecting change.
But a place like Syria or a place like Algeria, I cannot go because there are no embassies. But Egypt, في بلاد they have, I'm talking about before the revolution, but they have embassies, they have business together, but when it comes and not many people criticize that, but when an Egyptian singer decides to do something with a guy from Palestine 48, everybody starts saying betrayal or تطبيع, so it's easier to attack the
right.
في hypocrisy كمان بهذا الموضوع.
No, absolutely, because you said that you felt, that there was hypocrisy. There's a double hypocrisy going on, because you can't, you're seen as a Palestinian in Israel, so you're the other and you're different, and then you go to the Arab world, and suddenly, instead of being embraced for the bravery you're showing through your lyrics, you're actually
just to be clear, I'm talking about institutions, basically.
Yeah.
The people who's doing a festival, because when it comes to people, I think that's the beautiful thing about hip hop. Sorry, but
no, of course.
يعني Palestinian Arabic music existed from قديش يعني a long time ago. And have you ever heard of a duet between يعني I can remember, I can count on my hand 5 duets I remember in the Arabic world. Hip hop. How many songs do you have with Egyptian MCs, Omar? How many songs do you have with Iraqis? How many songs do you have with... We have that song together, and I said that line, that you will not find Arab in the same spot on that beat except in Guantanamo, maybe. For real, because I think that hip-hop, when hip-hop came, that's the beautiful thing about hip-hop. Not just, I don't want to make it just political and deep and Middle East. Even just grab a Lil Wayne album that had no... You can see the Drake, you can see the featuring. Look, it's a unity music, يعني فيها unity. And I had the chance to work with Lebanese, لبناني يعني ريس بيك, مع جزائري, يعني people يعني who are the enemy يعني فاهم, according to my passport.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love that music. It's so uniting. The word featuring, it's a revolutionary word in the hip hop world.
Well, if it's any comfort, I mean, I was in Beirut and I was in Amman last year, and I interviewed groups like Mashrou' Layla and groups, you know, Reyes Bek, Zaid Hamdan, others. And the people were always talking about, why, you know, DAM can't come here. They cannot perform in Beirut, but the people want it. I mean, the audiences are there, and thanks to the internet are able to tune in. So we're talking about maybe a sad reality that the demand is there, the thirst for you guys is there. It's just this bureaucratic issue that stops you from actually performing live to people who need
Actually,
you.
we had suggested to go into Lebanon, that they will organize something for us to go in somehow and to perform there. And but Lebanese will accept us, even if it's the government. We would get in, we can. But then when we go back home, we won't go back home. We'll go to the Israeli jails. We'll be arrested. I don't know for how many
going
years.
to Lebanon.
It's
The
more
enemies.
complicated than that. There's this writer, I don't know if you heard of him, علاء حلاحل. He's a famous writer. He had that website Qadita. He's a Palestinian carrying the Israeli passport, and he had this invitation because he released a book, My Secret Affair with Carla Bruni. It's a funny book. He describes that she comes to Palestine wearing hijab so no one will recognize him, or she's having sex with him. Anyway, it's a funny book. Anyway, he was invited to do this festival, this Mu'tamar Udaba in Lebanon.
A conference for literary people.
Yeah, and dude thought of something smart. He applied for the Bagats. You know the Bagats?
No.
The high court.
That's the highest court, the Israeli highest court.
Oh,
He
okay.
applied and he asked, it's not weapons, it's nothing political, it's just art. And it went on like a month or two, and they agreed that he will go there. And the Lebanese people agreed to accept him. And he didn't go. He was like, I just did it for the point. I have a kid, I don't want to fuck him, sorry, I don't want to do it. But it's complicated, yeah. But you know,
Yeah. One last point about this, because we had Sayyid Qassour a couple of weeks ago, and he gave some talks here. Of course, he's at Stanford, and he writes this TV series for Israeli TV called Arab Labor, Arab Labor, and you know, he was also talking about, you know, his frustration about being, you know, pigeonholed and not being able to translate. So you guys are right in the footsteps of somebody who was saying the same thing, and the situation definitely should change.
he likes our music there.
Yes, I was going to say, do you guys know that they did the soundtrack Nغير بكرة, which means change tomorrow, and it's with children, right? Mahmoud, they're like children singing.
They were children, not anymore.
When it was
It was a long time ago when we did the dedication, and they are children from our neighborhood.
Now they have children.
Oh wow!
Yeah, some of them.
I feel so old suddenly.
These guys are talking about, you know, going, oh, bring me my wheelchair. Omar, your music though, it doesn't face the same censorship. Do you think in the Arab world you're able to perform anywhere? Do you feel more of a liberty when you're traveling?
Things changed drastically for me in the last 2 years, just given what's happening in Syria. first of all, I mean, I was born a Syrian citizen before I became naturalized as an American. And in Syria, the second you go back to Syria, they don't care where you think you're from. You're Syrian. You could have a Syrian great-grandfather, and they want you to serve in the army. So I could actually never go to Palestine growing up, and it's something I always wanted to do, but the way that the laws are set up, obviously, if they ever found out, I would never be allowed back into Syria. I couldn't go see my family, and so that's just not a possibility. So I can somewhat relate, you know, to what you guys are talking about. But what's interesting, though, is that, like, obviously with the Syrian Revolution, I'm not allowed to go back into Syria now because of what I said on that song. So that's a whole irony in and of itself, because I was born in Saudi Arabia and I'm not allowed to go back to this country that I never lived in anyway. So interesting. But when I go to places like the Gulf, like in Dubai, for example, to go do a show there, I get very, very clear orders to not perform, not even just political content, specifically this one song, because in the hook of the song, they're saying, "Ash-sha'b yurid isqat al-nizam," the people want to topple the regime. And even though it's entirely about the Syrian situation, it has nothing to do with the Gulf, they don't even want people just thinking that they can even say that out loud, you know? There were Guy Fawkes t-shirts that were made, like with kind of Syrian flag on them, and those were strictly banned in the UAE. You're not allowed, nobody's allowed to wear any Guy Fawkes memorabilia or you'll get apprehended. So, I mean, it's real. And then I got invited to go perform in Qatar, and I assumed because of Qatar's presumed stance on what's happening in Syria and kind of support for the revolution, that I would have a blank check, or not a blank check, but, you know, free reign to say whatever I wanted. And halfway through performing this one song, I noticed that there were some local Qatari guys who were wearing like the traditional Qatari dress who enjoyed it and were like chanting along. And as I was doing it, and there was maybe like 500 people there or something, and there was like maybe 3 or 4 Qataris in their local dress chanting the song and enjoying it. And as I was doing it, I looked at them and I was like, oh, that's going to be a problem. And sure enough, like right afterwards, I got a warning saying, you know, you're not allowed to do that.
What song was that?
Ash-sha'b yurid isqat al-nizam, the people want to topple the regime. So that's, and just so people who know, like this particular phrase, the people want to topple the regime, this started in Tunisia, and then it moved into Egypt, and into Libya, and it was spray painted on the wall in Syria, and that's what ended up sparking the revolution. And it was a very heated kind of thing, and in the Gulf especially, you know. So it even shows you how in the Middle East, I mean, we here in the West, especially in the media, they kind of paint it as this just like one, you know, big blob of the Middle East, but it's so different from one country to another. Yeah. But it reminds me, there's like an old Family Guy episode, I think, where they're flying over the Middle East and he looks through the window and it looks like a map of the Middle East that you'd see in like your old textbook, and he's like, oh, it really looks like that. Yeah. You know? It's not, you know, it's so different from one place to another. Life is so different and the things people experience are so different. And you can be thousands of miles away from one of the most horrific, bloodiest, you know, disasters ever taking place on planet Earth and have no idea. You'd be in a bubble and just, you know, living life and eating hamburgers and thinking it's all good, really. So,
well, if you guys have not heard of Omar Offendum's album, it's called Syrian Americana, and you probably are like living under a rock if you've never heard of that album. But
or they're just not listening to your radio station because you play it.
I think it's beyond KZSU at this point. It's like everywhere. But that album really is a classic in terms of you bringing, you know, poetry from Nizar Qabbani, for example, bringing Asmahan and remixing Asmahan and doing it in a way where even the old people who listen to the real Asmahan will say, wow, I'm getting into this. So a lot of mixing on Syrian Americana, and when you came here a couple of years ago, we were speaking about the album. Yeah. Who would have known that 2 years later, the Syrian revolution would still be going on? It's bloodier than ever, it's more tragic than ever. How do you feel now about that situation, and are you going to translate that into your music in the future?
You know, it's tough with Syria. Like, my emotions fluctuate every single day. You know, I have family there, and, you know, for a long time my mother and my sister were still there, and so I couldn't even say the things I wanted to say out of fear of them and what might happen. Families of activists have been targeted, even not just activists, even musicians, artists. I mean, there's a Syrian-American piano player, Malik Jandari, who played at a rally in D.C., and then a few days later, his elderly parents in Homs got beaten up by thugs sent from the regime. So it was a very real fear, and I wrote that song, hashtag Syria, in August of 2011, and I didn't release it until March of 2012, and, you know, it changes every day, you know, and the thing is with the Syrian revolution, it's like they call it the orphan revolution because everybody forgot about it, you know. We were just talking about this earlier, everybody was so gung-ho with Tunisia and Egypt, and then like, you know, with Libya, but then the way Libya ended was kind of weird, and then Bahrain is like, let's just put that one away, and what the hell happened in Yemen, and then Syria is like, we don't even understand, it's like the toxic revolution. Everybody forgot about it, nobody wants to touch it, it's too complicated politically, it's too much of a mess for people to be able to comprehend. The ramifications are just so huge that it's like daunting to even talk about or broach the subject. So, I mean, it's heavy, but for me, what I've said consistently is that beneath all the political posturing, all the proxy wars, and all the conspiracy theories, there's very real human suffering taking place, and it's 500,000 refugees outside of Syria and millions internally displaced, 70,000 killed, hundreds of thousands in prison. So it's just a dire humanitarian issue. And for me, as a Syrian, and more importantly as a humanitarian, that's kind of what I feel like I want to focus on, because if you get sucked into the political argument, and there is plenty for both sides to sit there and say whatever they want to say about it, you'll end up losing sight of the fact that at the end of the day, well, there will be no Syria for them to come back to, you know. And if nobody's taking care of these kids who've been out of school for 2-3 years in these camps now, then, you know, then what are we really fighting for, you know? So that's kind of where it goes with that. It definitely influences everything I do. It's also created a huge writer's block. I mean, for a while, it's like, what the hell do you want me to say after this many people have died? And, you know, like, what do you want a song to do for you, you know? But what I have done, I think, relatively successfully in the capacity that I can is use the music and the song as a rallying point to get people to come together and to raise awareness and to raise funds for the cause. And so I've tried my best to at least do that, you know. But the community gets tapped out after a while too, you know. It's like one fundraiser after the other, and it's like, all right, we have no more to give, and people keep dying, and you just feel helpless, you know. But what gives me hope is hearing the stories of people there. Every once in a while, like in the darkest moment, I'll hear something from, you know, a cousin or my brother-in-law who does relief work between Turkey and Syria that really just gives you hope that, you know, there will be something to look forward to, or at least to feel like it might be worth it in the long run. One small story was, sorry I'm taking a long time here, but just to give a little bit of, I guess, positivity. There was a man at a market, a farmer's market in Reyhanli, which is a border town between Syria and Turkey that my brother-in-law had run into. The man was waving at him like he recognized them, but my brother-in-law didn't quite remember, and he assumed he was one of the people he had helped give aid to, but he just didn't know in particular who it was. Anyway, he walked over to a stall, they started talking. He said, my name's so-and-so, you probably don't remember me. And then at that point, a customer had come, and so the man turned to the customer and they started talking about these olives that he had for sale. And they were talking about how difficult it is to get olives now, how olives are more expensive than olive oil, and that's never happened before. And this is all because you can't harvest in northern Syria anymore because of all the violence. And the guy said, lucky for you, I happen to have this batch from my house that I just brought before I came. And so he sold them some olives, they talked about them, he sold them. And then the guy turned to my brother-in-law and he said, you know what I did? I took the winter care package that I got from you, from this relief agency, which basically contained like blankets and coats and shoes and heating oil. He said, I took that and I sold it, and I used the money from that to get me a ride to the border and to pass the border and then to pay for my stall here today. And I brought my olives from my house and I made 5 times as much money as I had made by selling that bag. And so, yeah, there might be a question of like ethics. When somebody gives you a donation, you should keep it. But this guy actually turned that into entrepreneurial spirit that all Syrians have, I believe, and turned it into something even more, you know. And that just made me realize, like, people don't want to just take handouts, you know. They want, you know, you teach a man to fish and he'll eat fish for a lifetime. And so that's kind of the thing that keeps, one of the things that kind of keeps me, so, you know, looking forward, yeah.
So for DAM, I know you are really involved with a lot of projects. Can you tell us a little bit about the projects you're involved in and the upcoming ones? And then I'm going to turn it over to everybody here to ask questions. I know that there's a couple of projects you're involved in that are dear to your hearts. And that's where we begin with.
I'm working on a few scripts now, a few projects. I'm working more on films recently. That's why I directed also the music video. If I could go back in time, I directed it with Jackie Saloom. She's the director of Slingshot Hip Hop, and we're writing video scripts now. And that's what I'm mostly working on these days.
Scripts for like a film? Or?
Films. I'm mostly working on films.
Wow.
And before coming here...
Suhell originally came from the cinema world, and I'm gonna be honest, the hip hop stole him.
I was studying cinema when I was like 9th grade, and I had a camera, and I went to the studio to film my older brother recording in the studio, and then he was like, "Hey, go in and record the hook for me, the chorus for the song." I said, "Okay, I'll do it."
Wow.
And then I just got in, I recorded for him. Until today, I'm stuck with him.
Nice.
And so yeah, but now I'm focusing more on the film world. So I have a lot of projects, and also before coming, I just edited another music video called The Hope, which is covering 14 years of DAM, and it's just a montage because I'm addicted to cameras. I film the whole time, and I have an archive of DAM. I save everything. That's why also I took the flyers from here. I stole some, so I save everything.
Wow.
So I have everything since we started and even before. And also before coming, I shot a music video for Silwan, and Tamer will explain about that more.
I would say that DAM's shows with the new album, we are happy to take the fruits that we've been planting. So the new album, Depth on the Moon, we are...
I like their projects the most right now. It's really important, it's getting really hot.
Maybe they're trying to get to the moon.
I'm also into screenplays, and now I'm working on a huge film that is going to be a feature, and I'm writing it. And it's going to be out. We hope we're going to shoot it next year. And it got me into the film. So I'm writing stories now more. I work as well with. I'm a part of a TV show. It's like every week. They bring someone, and I have an opinion, but I do it in rap, and I talk about it.
Nice.
And Silwan is in East Jerusalem, and it's you know that thing that happened between Obama and Netanyahu when they sent the vice president, and Netanyahu decided that he's going to build the 5,000 units in Jerusalem, and that pissed off the Americans. So basically, it's around Silwan, Silwan. And they are working there, they are demolishing houses because they want to build the city of David, because they believe that King David walked with his wife over there. That's why they're going to wreck everything and build the city of David. So I'm working there in a few projects, especially a project called Room Number 4. Room Number 4 is an investigation room in Al-Maskubiya in East Jerusalem, where they investigate Arabs. And but basically we're going to focus on child arrest, because just 3 days before I left to the USA, they arrested a 5 years old.
5-year-old.
They arrested a 5 years old kid. So we are working on that to bring awareness. And part of my work in Silwan is also Dandara. The word Dandara is amazing. It's when a confrontation happened with the settlers there. And it's like the Egyptian movies when then some guys say, yeah, and suddenly people are coming from all over to fight. The word Dandara, it's going down, so everyone comes. So I like that word Dandara, and the guy who invented it, he died. He stashhad. So Dandara is the first hip hop group from your hometown.
Well, I'm Lebanese of Palestinian origin, so...
Half?
Okay, I'll take it.
So that's the project, basically. So I'm working on a hip-hop album with them, and they are about to finish it, I hope, next 3 months. The funny thing is I sent emails to all my friends, and I was like, I'm doing a hip-hop project, blah, 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 with Silwan, if you can send beats. And all I wanted was, okay, all I want is 15 beats so I can pick, and I had like 105 beats in 2 days. And that's it, I'm just happy with this number, and soon it will be the next album.
Inshallah. Mahmoud, you want to add anything before we turn the questions?
I would just want to say that we, as DAM, also very active on the street. We demonstrate a lot in Bab al-Shams and Yafa for prisoners. And this is something that we do because we believe in the art and the activism in the same time. It's not enough that you are doing art, but you need to do stuff on the ground to change things. And I will take you a little bit to the beginning of the conversation because I'm working on my album as well, very experimental rock, dubstep, and the intro of the album called I Just Killed My Tribe, and where I actually assassinate everyone in my family.
I'm married to his sister, so
yeah.
I don't know what the fuck you're about.
But no, I take it back to Jadaria, to what they talk, because it's a metaphor of killing the tribe that inside you. And one of the execution that they blamed us for was that we putting the dirty laundry out. And I'm a big supporter of doing that, of putting the dirty laundry out, because I believe to do a change, you need to be that brave to do that. So it's not like I'm killing, actually, really I'm killing my parents. It's just I'm killing the idea of the control of the tribe, and I'm rising up the individual idea of being yourself, or being and actually doing your ideas and doing what you believe in. So I just wanted to say that.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's all the questions that I had based on a lot of people who I told them I was going to be here tonight. I asked them this, asked them that. I think I asked the major ones, but I think we should leave it to our wonderful audience here. Do you want to ask from your seat? Do you want to come up here? What do you think, Farah? I mean, this is sort of an intimate...
Yeah, we can hear everybody.
So, yeah, how about from Roni?
This is a question to Dan. Could you share a few words about your early experiences growing up in your hometown in Led, and maybe how you formed and developed your group?
So, experiences growing up in Lid and how they formed the group.
I think, me personally, I had a happy childhood. مشاغبة جدا كانت.
He was a troublemaker.
Yeah, I think it's...
Imagine what it is to grow up with an older brother who's a troublemaker.
I think that it was beautiful. It was charming and beautiful until I discovered the world, and I knew that I live in a shithole. So I said, what the fuck? You need to tell me that you're not 60 people in one classroom. No, you're not supposed to. So I think I had a charming neighborhood at the beginning, and I can remember, because I'm sure that your question somehow wants something to do with politics. I believe so. So I'll give you a few political stories that. I grew up in a school, in a bad school, I would say. We, according to the law, we were supposed to be 30 students in one classroom. We were like 45. We had the shittiest teachers. When I say shittiest teacher, I mean that I have a broken nose from my teacher. He just grabbed my head and he smashed it twice. And Allah yarhamu, my father, I love him, but he asked me, what did you do? In a way, that's the school that and then when I grow up, I noticed that I read books, and I noticed that the principal of the Arab schools in South Israel are picked by the Shabak, or Mossad outside the Shabak. So so now the picture got clear to me. I would remember that my relationship with the Jews was, they were my neighbors. I used to live in a mixed neighborhood at the beginning, and it was perfect. Then they left, and other neighbors came, then they left, and Arabs came, and then we wanted to leave. And it's just, it looks عادي, it looks natural, but then I grew up and I understood that the Jewish neighbors leaves because you came. That's basically the reason, and somehow the new Jews that they are bringing, we are not handling ourselves. They are not cool like the other Jews. So when the Jews left, the government brings more Jews, extreme Jews, to settle, to make look more Jewish. So it creates it's a lot of things. How were we raised?
I think it was how did you form the group?
Yeah.
It was back in '99 where I got an album in English. It had 6 tracks, very bad album, and it was Tamer album, but and it was called "Stop Selling Drugs."
Yep.
And that started
When
it.
I recorded it, I remember now, when I recorded it, I had a Scarface t-shirt on.
Oh, wow.
And I was listening also to hip hop, and I loved that music. And suddenly, my sister brought me the album "Stop Selling Drugs," and I was amazed that there is someone in Lid, considered as small city, have someone that love hip hop and actually doing something about it. So I called him. He invited me to his release party. It had 10 friends.
Five.
You were the 10th, I was listening.
Wow.
And together we created them beginning of 2000.
2000. Wow.
I would like to just.
We weren't, we weren't political at all at the beginning. Yeah, I mean, nothing.
And were you rapping in English or Arabic or Hebrew?
Or Hebrew.
It was in English, but not really English. It was like.
English.
English really, can't you see?
Great. So who else has a
No,
question?
but I just want to add about
Oh,
childhood, how we grew up. I'll try to do it really fast. So when I was in the same bad school till 6th grade, and then I moved to a school called Waht al-Salam, which is a Jewish Arab school, which is it's kind of mixed and
It was the
cool.
first one, right?
It was the first, and everyone studied everyone's language, and was kind of cool. And suddenly after that, I introduced to a camera, and I wanted to study cinema, and there was no school till today. There is no any Arab school that have like this major or any of that. So I had to fight everyone around to go and study in a Jewish school, because this is the only place that I found that they teaching cinema. And this is what I did at the end. And I went and I studied in a Jewish school, and I studied cinema. And the stuff that I saw there, again, that we were like naive and optimistic, thinking like it's all cool, you know, everyone is human. And no, not yet. Then it's like, you know, everything's cool, everything's normal. But then suddenly when you get into the school and you're starting to see the reality, suddenly I got hit and shocked by how much racist is the people, the cool neighbors that he was talking about, or the people that was in the school. I mean, I was going back to my class and finding on my table written in huge "Death to Arabs," or opening to see the pictures of kids, and then seeing on the pictures it's written, every picture where you see Arab, it's written "Death to Arab." Or when the teachers come in and they start teaching, they give you the worst teach. Like they teach us basically that my grandfather are zeros and they are the heroes who came to this empty land and they took it. So I had a lot of really hard, traumatizing experience on those few years studying in this type of schools, and not just by this words, also again by teachers, stuff that they were telling us.
But of course, I witnessed these things, but it's not black and white. It's more. It have a lot of layers. It's also during your way, from the extreme to extreme until you find your ideology. It's also meeting people meeting Jewish people who are like, yeah, I listened to your music while I was in prison. Why? Because I was sentenced for 3 months because I refused to go to the army, and suddenly you go into this another group of people that you never met before, and then you go do shows against the separation wall, and suddenly you are invited to a village, and you go and stay Arab village, and you go on stage and you see that they separated between the women and the men, and then you suddenly shape and you notice that. I think nowadays ideology is we as human beings, as new generation, we are against any separation. So it's not black and white. It's it's mixed.
Yeah. Well, I think, and we all would agree here that we're not making this a binary issue, or Jews are all like this, or Arabs or Palestinians are like that. Hope we're more evolved than that. Who had a question? Have you asked?
I was wondering if you have thought of doing some kind of work together with other artists living in the West Bank and artists living in the Gaza, and doing some kind of a show, doing like video conferencing that the different artists can perform together. So I had the honor and privilege to spend 4 months in the Gaza in 2008, and there's awesome musicians and artists down there who I'm thinking would love to do some kind of a show with y'all.
So the question very briefly is, have they collaborated with other artists in Gaza or in the territories?
Yeah.
And if they're intending to do any kind of project, even if through video?
You can get the DVD Slingshot Hip Hop, where it's all about the 67 hip hop and the 48 hip hop and how it collaborates. And yeah, we have a lot of.
And we did the conference, the video, and we did that a lot, actually.
Yeah, and we would add Amal Morkhos too. You worked with her, you know, and that's another. Yes, let's see. There's a guy right there. Yes, Tariq.
I have two questions. The first one for DAM, the second for Omar. So you talked about the song going back in time and the controversy that was behind it. There's another song was actually out of people flaming at you because of it. Song number 10, I Fell in Love with a Jew.
I fell in love with a Jew. That's the song he's asking about.
We would like to understand what you guys mean by it, if there is any meaning, and what you respond for it. The other one, Omar, it's been a year for the last song for Syria. When the next one is coming?
So maybe we'll start with you guys.
It's a funny story. It's a sarcastic way to look at the struggle between the Arabs and the Palestinians and the Israelis. It's a love story about me getting stuck in the elevator with this beautiful girl, and she's Jewish. And that's the situation. We are stuck on the same place, and you know, eventually we have to talk and negotiate. But just not to make it a cheesy message. Yes, we are stuck on the same elevator, but darling, you are pressing up, I was pressing down. Yeah. That's the difference, yani. So this is it, and I don't want to give a large explanation because it's part of the show tonight, and you're ruining the surprise. But it's a sarcastic way to look at the.
And also it's okay to fall in love with a Jew. The problem we always say our problem is not with the Jewish people but with Zionism and with the occupation. We had problem with the British and we had problem with the Turkish as much as we have problem with the Israelis and the Zionism.
Now that I think of it, the song should have been more revolutionary because we believe in the freedom of speech, freedom of sex, freedom. So next time it should be I fell in love with a Jewish guy and just. I'm also talking about gay rights. You know,
you go down. You go down.
Yeah, and he will have in his when we meet, he will have in his iPhone Omar's next album. So there you go, 3 answers. There you go.
And Omar, what about you? When's the next project about Syria going to be released?
I mean,
Does it have a title?
I would hope that people, like I said when I was talking earlier, don't just start to assume, you know, what I should be making next and what I should be writing about next. No disrespect to you, Farah, I love you. And of course, I totally understand why people want to hear more music about Syria and about the conflict and to get energized and inspired. But that's never how it kind of worked with me. I mean, even when I wrote about the Egyptian Revolution, it was one of the first times I wrote about a conflict like as it was happening. I typically like to let things kind of settle and simmer before I speak on them. And to be honest, a song about Syria, I would say it took 30 years to write. You know, it's not like I just wrote it out of what was happening. It was the culmination of the years of dictatorship and seeing how it affected my family and seeing how it affected the people that I knew in the community. And a lot of the words still ring true and resonate in what's happening now. But the situation is very complicated, and you know, for me to sit here and just write like a chronicle of it, I don't know if it's necessary. When you have citizen journalists who are on the ground every day trying to get the story out, and nobody's listening. You know, you can get the real story right there. But I am working on a lot of new material, and it's going to be starting slowly to get released in the next few months. I just released a new song the other day with Shadi Mansour, a new video.
Amazing video clip, man.
Thank you. Yeah, this was directed by Global Faction, who's a really phenomenal artist and activist, filmmaker from London, who did most of Low Key's videos, if people are familiar with his work. And this is called Lazim Nitghayyar, We Have to Change. It's entirely in Arabic, inspired by Palestine, but it's much, I think, even bigger. It's just that, and it's more so a dedication to the memory of her cousin and a longtime activist important figure in Palestine, Juliana Marhamis, half Palestinian, half Israeli, the one who started is it Jenin Freedom Theater, and so he's featured in it, his voice and his clips, and it's a really great piece. I'm really honored to be a part of it. She's an incredible artist, and I'm just touring and performing and you know, constantly working on the craft.
So maybe we'll take one more question, because then everybody's going to get baklava, thanks to Farah, and then we're going to come back to actually dance and rock.
Better be a good question, because there's baklava later.
Yeah. So let me take someone from the back. What about over there? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
So Omar was just saying how he had a song that came out that was entirely in Arabic, which I think is great, right? But how do you determine what your next track is going to be in terms of language and who you're targeting, right? Like, I know you want to reach out to the people in the West, but you also want to, you know, touch the people in the East, Arabic, English. I know in a lot of your songs you kind of combine the two. How do you determine that, you know, without like maybe it being a turn-off for those who don't understand Arabic?
Right. That's a great question. I mean, I don't really worry about what's going to be a turn-off or a turn-on for people, but I think it's just as important for people who don't speak Arabic to hear the language, especially here in the United States, in order to demystify this beautiful language for people who only get to hear it in the form of angry dudes yelling on TV or in some stupid movie. It's a beautiful language. It's a very deep and profound one, and so I like performing it. It also liberates me lyrically when I can switch back and forth and just kind of pull from an entirely different vocabulary and cadence, and you know. So I don't know. I mean, but I've been writing more stuff in Arabic recently, just kind of conscious effort, because I do want to reach out to more Arab-speaking audiences. But like I said, in general, I think it's important for both. Because also when I go back and perform in the Arab world, there's also the deconstructing of the monolithic concept of what America is and American culture is that's happening as well. And you know, you go back there and you have kids growing up in the Arab world who go to international schools, who watch American TV and satellite TV and on the internet all day, and they never study Arabic, so they don't even know Nizat Abdani, let alone kids here, you know. So yeah.
There's just one kid here, this young man who actually has been trying to ask a question. But let me tell you, you can all ask them questions after the show. They're going to be around. They're going to sign their CDs. So if you don't get a chance to ask right now, which you probably won't, just
we also have screenings.
There's Ram,
yes, Ramzi, tomorrow also there's a screening of.
Yes, and Farah was going to talk about the schedule tomorrow. So please, if you didn't get a chance to ask, come up and ask them, or go to the screening. Farah, let me have Ram just ask his question, because Tamer's been seeing him jump up and down. Go ahead, Ram.
Thank you, Ramzi. I had a question about your the way that you discuss the issues within your communities in Lid and Yafa and Ramle. Like, which issues in the community do you prioritize? Like, how do you use your music to deal with them? Like, I know, you know, where we're talking about crime, drugs, the role of families, like integration within the larger Israeli society. Like, which of these issues are really important to you personally, and how do you use music to wrestle with them?
So, a pretty good question.
I regret, you know.
Well, and this is coming from a very bright student who speaks 3 languages, who brings the world together, bridges gaps. This is a good kid here. He deserves an answer.
Thank you.
It depends. يعني, if I do it in Lid, I will focus on the drugs and the house demolition and women's rights, for example. If it happens in Haifa, I will talk about the importance of using the tools that you have to create more, because Haifa, you know, it's the cultural city of Palestine. There you have of the 48, you have the cinema, you have everything going on over there. So that would be one of it. If it's in front of the Israelis, I will talk against the occupation, of course. If it's in the West Bank, then you know. I will talk about the importance of opening labels, radios, using everything. So it depends sometimes. And sometimes we just start talking about how we created them, and suddenly you see how each shariha,
piece.
Yeah, each يعني Ramallah takes you to their shapes the discussion يعني, for the question. So it's up. that's it's عند كتير layers في هناك يعني في فلسطين as much as we are united and you know شعب واحد بس that's a beautiful thing about it. There's we are يعني ملان ألوان كمان.
And it's very befitting you spoke in Arabic, because Ram took my Arabic classes. It's very good Arabic and Hebrew and English. Okay, guys. So Farah, you wanted to come up here, or should we invite? Yalla. We want to have some baklava, and then we want to like dance. They didn't come here to sit down and like.
Yes.
Like that.
So we're just gonna break for a 15-minute intermission, and when you come back, the room will look dramatically different. All the seats will be gone, and the energy will be different in the room. And we're gonna prepare you for we'll be painted pink, and you'll have baklawa in your stomachs, so it'll be really different. Please help yourselves to the back room. Farah is up first, and thank you to our panelists. Now we've got our 45-minute set for Omar Offendum. Please give it up for
Get another round of applause for Farah, working so hard. It is a pleasure to be here. It is an honor to be here, and it is certainly a responsibility to be here. I say it's a pleasure because I always love coming back up to the Bay, especially here at Stanford. This is my third time. This wonderful institution. I'm actually coming back May 13th to speak in a class with Jeff Chang. So you guys hopefully check that out. So it's an honor to be here performing at the invitation of this inspiring young woman who just talked about how I inspired her, which was really moving for me to hear. And she's been trying to do this for a while, and so it's really cool that it finally happened. And of course, thank you to the support of Dr. Ramzi Salti all these years, and all the organizations that have made this event possible. Thank you all. And I'll say it's a responsibility to be here, not just because I'm Syrian, not just because I'm Arab, not just because I'm Muslim, but because I'm a human being who believes in equality and justice for all, full stop. That's why I'm here. That's what drives the work that I do. That's what's motivated me all these years. And it's a beautiful thing to see the diversity in this audience here tonight. That's something I love to see reflected. And I wanted to start off with a poem that's been very inspirational to me over the years by a poet you might have heard of before. His name is Langston Hughes. This one is called The Negro Speaks of Rivers. And I have an Arabic translation on my album, which I'll perform after this. But I think it's really important to set the tone with events like these by kind of reminding everybody of the humanity that binds us all, irrespective of where we might think we come from, what our ethnicity might be or might not be. And that's something he's able to do in this poem in a few short words, remind us of that humanity. By framing it through the notion of these rivers all around the world, the sources of fresh water, sources of civilization, sources of life. It goes like this. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I've bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Rest in peace, Langston Hughes. I got DJ Emancipacion on the ones and twos. Make some noise for us. How you guys feeling tonight? Yeah. أنهار كثيرة عرفتها. أنهار كثيرة أزلية كما العالم عرفتها. أنهار أزلية تدفقت حتى قبل أن يتدفق الدم في شرايين البشر. وروحي ازدادت عمقا كالأنهار. فأنا بمياه الفرات استحملت حتى قبل انبلاج فجر الحياة. وعلى ضفاف الكونغو بنيت كوخي حيث هدلت لي مياهه ليطفو. من دلتا النيل العالي أشرفت وشيدت الأهرامات العظيمة. وإلى شدو المسيسيبي استمعت حين مر به لينكولن في دربه إلى نيو أورلينز. ومع الغروب رأيت أحضانه الطينية تتحول لكتل ذهبية. لقد عرفت أنهارا أزلية معتمة كما الغسق، وروحي توغلت في القدم وروحي ازدادت عمقا كالأنهار. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Omar Offendum, and I'd like to welcome you to a lovely little place I call Syriana Americana. This is a nation state of mind where everything is connected and everybody is welcome. Will you join me this evening? Make some noise for yourselves for coming out to support this event tonight. Now, I'm a really mellow dude. You're going to see that throughout the course of this next 40 minutes as they compare to the 45 minutes that will come after with the Palestinian Beastie Boys. Their energy is unmatched. I love watching them perform, so I'm going to try to hurry this up as much as I can so I can get to the stage, or so I can get them to the stage. But before we do that, I just want to make sure you guys are all with me here. What is this? 1 is just where I'm starting. 2 for this pair I'm sporting. 3 is the charm of times. 4 is the horseman's sign. 5 is my brother's path. 6 is a dozen's half. The heavens last. Of Bismillah. For line life. Divine right. Daniel's ocean. The month's motions. Lucky joints. Wilson's points. 5 thrice. Candlelights. R movies. Nightlife. Her voting rights. Mahmood Jrere. Get your drink on. Gat Power. Michael Jordan. Jack Bauer. Cents and quarters. Marathoning. The club. Teeth were forming. Rubik's moves. The new 20. Flavor scoops. Lines plenty. Make some noise, y'all. So this track right here is called Damascus. Any Syrians in the house tonight? I know we got one right here. My man. Yo, I got a question for you though, real quick. So, if I ask you what's Damascus like, tell me that it's like a glimpse into the afterlife, alright? So if I ask you what's Damascus like, say it's that's what I tell them when they ask me what's Damascus like. I tell them that it's like a hellish heaven, heavenly hell. When relishing in poetic embellishments, memory fails. See, this is Damascus. And this is a glass of spirit comfort I love, but I'm aware of the fact that certain kinds of love can slaughter you in their wrath. I'm a Damascene Pia, dissect me into haves and have not. But grapes and apples fall in your path, open my veins with scalpels, hear ancestral chants of heart. Transplants can cure some of the passion. Why does mine stay torn in half? Then minarets crying tears of absence, like trees that so speak. Years have passed them, you can hear them asking for civil rights to live amongst tears and jasmine. As house cats take naps relaxing, this is Damascus. And what this singer Armando Manzanero sang so beautifully is that's the saddest thing in this world. But hey, this is how I feel for you. So, if I ask you what's Damascus like, tell me that it's like there it is. And if they ask you what's Damascus like, say it's a glimpse into the afterlife. That's what I tell them when they ask me what's Damascus like. I tell them that it's like a coffee grinders crackling, childhood reminders backward. How could I forget with my reaction to Cardamom's strong fragrance and still finds attraction? As proud fathers wait for a sweet daughter's face, I'm asking, my roots, heart, and language are here. How am I supposed to make myself any more clear? Is clarification necessary with love so deep, so much so there was no fear? How many Damascene bracelets were sold for this poetry here? Apologizing to the willow, wondering if my little siblings can hear my party scattered across coast and years, lands on horizons, floating satellites of volcanoes. See. And once again, it is the saddest thing in this world. But hey, this is how I feel for you. So, if I ask you what's Damascus like, tell me that it's like and if they ask you what's Damascus like, say it's a glimpse into the afterlife. That's what I tell them when they ask me what's Damascus like. I tell them that it's like into the afterlife. A hellish heaven, heavenly hell, when relishing in poetic embellishments, memory fails. See, we're tossed around in Charlotte's oceans only to be hunted down by devils and demonic ghosts. Our barren garbage, rapping flows and rapping flows. It's apropos until no war is open to them, that's for show. Affinity of Arabness resembling a widow, though. Is there no festivus for the rest of his history books can show? What remain of poetry's originality of so many a brown nose and lie against the have complete control. How they gon' ever write a verse to spit with killers still approach? I bore the burden of my words upon my back until I grieve what shall remain of poetry. But it is finally relieved the saddest thing in this world. My lady is knowing that we were meant to be from the very start, but that they never be. So I think you know what he's saying by now. And I hope you remember what I'm about to ask you. Yeah. If I ask you what's Damascus like, tell me that it's like hallelujah. Said if they ask you what's Damascus like, say it's a glimpse into the afterlife. It's what I tell them when they ask me what's Damascus like. I tell them that it's like a hellish heaven, heavenly hell, when relishing in poetic embellishments, memory fails. That's the life. This right here was a translation of Nizar Babbani's Damascene poem, in which he said, هذه دمشق وهذه الكأس والراح إني أحب وبعض الحب ذباح. أنا الدمشقي لو شرحتم جسدي لسال منه عناقيد وتفاح، ولو فتحتم شرعيني بمديتكم سمعتم في دمي أصوات من راحوا. زراعة القلب تشفي بعض من عشقوا، وما لقلبي إذا أحببت جراح. Rest in peace, Nizar Babbani. Make some noise for yourselves. Yeah. I had no idea what it was going to be like when I turned the corner and walked into this room for the first time. I saw like carpeting and like wood panels. I was like, it was an interesting place. But the sound is pretty good, and Murray House is bringing the energy tonight, and I appreciate that. Another round of applause for Farah for putting this together. Yeah. In an effort to increase the literacy, a lot of the whack MCs I'm often forced to call my peers. I took it upon myself to alphabetize the following verse. I'm going to go through the alphabet forwards, backwards, and forwards again, and it goes like this. Alphabetic brothers can disseminate energy fluidly, guiding hereditary imagery, justice, kindness, lovely marriages, never of parameters, question, regularly suspected terrorismist. Under victory's watch, xenophobic young zealots yield Xerox worldviews, unintelligent televangelists so readily quoted. People often needed motivation, lost kids joke, it hurts. Getting fingerprinted, everyday discriminated, called barbaric Arab by crusaders, desecrated, entering foreign gates, hesitantly immigrated, journeying kaleidoscopic languages, miseducated, naturalized, organized, prophesized, quadraphonic, record set, typed up, verse wars, allophonic yells, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus 10 alphabetic bars, spit 16. That's it. We got a little switch up. I like that song though. It's a good song. This next track is called Destiny. I've got a video for it online. You might know it. And I'd love your help on the hook here. All you gotta say is Destiny. It's really easy. If you're nervous about your singing voice, just act like you're in the shower and nobody can hear you. It's all good. Yeah, it's hard living in the West when I know the East got the best of me. Say, could be looking in my eyes, but you never really see the rest of me now. Can you hear me? My city, bilingual's what I'm blessed to be here. حمامة سلام افتحي أجنحتك وطيري ايه وين الوعي وين امشوا معي هين بين الجبلين عين حب الطرفين امهاتنا حبت زادنا مو عجبهن ما سباتنا هذا الحكي بين اخواتنا زين العرب والامريكان الله يرحم كل امواتنا اغاني مثل مهاتنا اذا ان العين بالعين ما صفى عنا عيوب الشام من فلسطين لجبال لبنان قبل ما اخترعوا الحدود من اسكندرون لكردستان فخمان جدي سخان ما خانتنا خانون اولاد العم بس دمنا دمهم بني ادم ضلوا ذنبهم على كتافنا شلنا همهم الله بيعلم بس ذكر في الديس وبسكيت احسن لك من 100 مليون مسدس اعرف ليه؟ لانه مو عاجبهم بسمتك بس ابتسم رسمتك شاب عربي ومثقف اعطيهم ختمتك وانزل الصبور راضي يذكرهم كلامي لي نص الطين ساعة انه طين. Yeah, it's hard living in the West when I know the East got the best of me. Could be looking in my eyes, but you never really see the rest of me now. Can you hear me? Masiri, bilingual's what I'm blessed to be here. حنان من سلام تحيا أجنحتك يطير الآن. I write right to left, you write left to right. Metaphor of a foreigner's plight, breast to tight. Stereo and a mic, scenario of a fight. The burial of a type, imperial at its heights. The Turkish rapper's delight, Semitic etiquette might just have you rolling your auras, poetic and light. And grab a hold of your Cyrus to relieve your tomorrows. Make it easier to borrow the aesthetics you write. Like all the Arabic long words and Spaniards and Morbas. The karma, inquisition, visions of horror. Tell me who's the explorer, really wasn't Columbus, Hamad al-Idrisi, a rap for brightness. Throw a while you figure it out. I'm gonna start with a cipher, that's a suffer, no doubt. So you might not have learned to live with me, but sure as hell can't without. I'm your destiny. It's hard living in the West when I know the East got the best of me. Say, could be looking in my eyes, but you never really see the rest of me. Nah. Can you hear me? My city, bilingual's what I'm blessed to be here. حنان من سلام تحيا أجنحتك يطير. So this song right here is a sample from Paul Anka, one of the first pop teen idols of the United States, originally from Lebanon. See, out of shooting at each other from Iraq to Palestine, Syria to Lebanon, Algeria to Sudan, pedagogy, the oppressed trickling down, conquering through division and sadly this is the first time. One land, one love, one chance, one blood, no fuss, no fight, kept right, young blood. AK's cheaper than a book, crooked leaders in a hook, getting fished out, this was getting dished out. By the West press, get a big shot from the people getting rich out of this. That was just really all about land, money, or power. Wasn't colonizers talk, but now it's really just ours. Even a sour taste in our mouths. Generational slave names. Whenever speaking out, outspoken leaders getting taken out. Quicker than belligerent drunks in a bar. Shall be a far cry from living this hard. When I say hip hop, you say one love. Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Make some noise, y'all. Music sometimes because I take my time with the lyrics and oftentimes I like to tell stories. One story that I wrote a couple of years ago about a really special place in Damascus called Straight Street, something I'd like to share with you guys right now. Damascus, for those who don't know, is the capital of Syria. It's one of the longest continuously inhabited cities on planet Earth. And given that hip-hop is this urban culture, more specifically the street culture, I always thought it was cool to be able to represent one of the oldest urban and street experiences in the world, and so I wrote this particular piece to reflect that. And it goes like this. I took a stroll down a street called Straight. Met a medicine man about a third of the way. Predecessor to the pusher man with something to say about an apple a day, keeping the sickness away. I valued his advice at face at first, till he enlightened me to how precisely nature works, giving us citrus fruits in wintertime for vitamin C. Just met each other, but I'm already invited for tea. Subhanallah. As fate would have it, he and I turn out to be related. Small world's even smaller when you're Arab, ain't it? Made it a point to soak in all his information about regenerative meditations and preventative medication, like a modern Ibn Sina with a pretty calm demeanor and a remedy for everything that plagued the Arab nations. Yet when asked how to cope with our impossible fate, he just said, follow the middle path to a street called Straight. And so I took a stroll down the street called Straight. Met a spiritual teacher about 2/3 of the way. Predecessor to the preacher man with something to say about a prayer a day, keeping the Satans at bay. He spoke of angels on our shoulders and the angles of our solar, systematic self-destruction, metaphysical corruption with a danger to our polar ice caps till it's out of our control and in the hands of our beholder. We philosophized for over 20 minutes like that. Taught me lessons, any questions he would give them right back. Said the answers were within us, and I didn't like that. But I realized later why he did it like that. See, I had so much more to learn. The clock was ticking, couldn't stall. Committed his words to memory. His wisdom wasn't enthralling yet when asking him, what was the most important to recall? He just said, follow the middle path, Straight Street, and that is all. And so I took a stroll down a street called Straight. Please stay on beat now. Yeah. Took a stroll down a street called Straight. Met a carpenter hard at work at the end of the way. Predecessor to the architect with something to say about not doing tomorrow what should be finished today. So he manipulated wood and metal till it followed function. Built an Alpha V erector called the Maximus Junction. Something told me wise beyond his ears. I had a feeling from the way that he'd exposed the beams with ornamented ceilings. And the ambidextrous half nonchalantly jest and laugh, saying that my Western education made it hard to grasp his connection to the past, deep rooted in his craft. But was more than willing to share with me these things he knew I lacked, and for that I would be grateful. Learning how to build the monumental for the playful and the humble for the faithful. He asked how we stack against the impossible odds. He just said, follow the middle path, straight street to the gods. Thank you. Every time I perform that, at the end of the show, some unhappy Muslim comes up to me and says, brother, God's astaghfirullah. One God. Only one God. I get it, bro. Really. I think we're out of order here. Yeah. Cool. Make some noise for DJ Emancipacion. I got this fly I'm Profound t-shirt from a really amazing group of designers out in New Jersey called Profound Aesthetic. Check them out when you get a chance. And yeah, it's this t-shirt I'm wearing. If you love Arabic music, make some noise. If you love hip-hop, make some noise. They call me the humble anomaly. I never listen like the Aussie. That's why they say slouchy beats follow me. An honoree in the presence of kin. Memorize like Najib's last name. Seventh heaven I'm in. Arab summit I've been. That's where a number of men with Arab mothers attend. Sharing our relevant sins. Bearing the burden of inferior skin. Pin us to the wind. Carry us in. Feet to pavement. Raw thesis statement taught. Jesus miracle walk. Bring the spiritual art. Bleeds his lyrical heart. Seeds in Jericho caught. Deep streams of art. Supreme pinnacle. Team cynical, scholarly, in my wallabies, sticky green like it's politic with peeps about economy. You're chopping up a beat like butchers with the meat knife, boom, bad, bonamata, pia. We got love for Philistine in the house tonight. That's what we do. Put your peace signs up, y'all. This is the first song I ever wrote right here. See? What peace had once flourished, so I can see his suffering. My cousins are malnourished, so I ain't taking for buffering. Uttering a cry for help is pretty useless when people view your whole existence as useless, ruthless dictators misrepresenting. They signing your life away without your consenting. Skepticism and pessimism's all I feel when nepotism and Zionism won't heal. Belittling soldiers are riddling shoulders, backs with the marks of oppression as was done to black and Native Americans that have vanished from sight. And that's why whites don't understand why we fight. See rights being stripped more than cars in the ghetto. But folks like us select dust that don't settle. The thorn in your side, so move with the tide. Has never had any reason to hide, so we ride out in the open in broad daylight. Rocks and fists ready to topple these regimes despite odds that would have made the average poker player think. How we proving that we ain't no mice. And still sometimes I'm feeling like a lab rat. The type that scientists like to take stabs at. The type of designers love to give bad raps. So we're all terrorists that are mad strapped like bags of crack. They flip us from their hoods to the Jews. Yeah, for the Tel Aviv to the televised news. And say that we're suicidal and under suspicion. Freedom fighters on a mission looking for some paradise. Now I said in the beginning of that was the first song I ever wrote. It was actually. I was about 17 years old when I wrote those lyrics. And I thought to myself, by the time I was 30, wonderful, Palestine will be free. But you know, you grow up and you realize it's not so easy. And not only is Palestine still in a similar, if not worse, situation today, but many places in the Middle East are, specifically Syria, coming full circle and seeing the violence that's engulfed my hometown and my homeland has been very difficult. But you know, for far too long, a Middle Eastern freedom song was considered improbable, or not even optional. The Arabi youth were too irresponsible, religion an obstacle. But this was inevitable to the conscious folk who knew it was possible. Conditions were optimal. This domino effect they all neglected was unstoppable. Ripples spill to waves, quick as martyrs fill the graves. No lament, whatever it takes. Our soldiers are spent, but these are the breaks. We're told as men to never mistake a brother's kindness for a weakness. Well, the same applies to tyrants, thinking a pride's a sign of greatness. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, put about Mason so he will fall flat on his face and give him the spoils, weapons, contracts, and oil. Oil? What you cooking? Betting that they could keep getting away with the double. Nobody was looking at hubris. Wouldn't let them believe they ever could leave, that everyone needed them, please. As bad as naive as thinking that Palestine will not be free. It ain't up to you, Mr. Despot, or shall I say desperate. Shutting down the internet, just making us all the more restless. You just don't get it. It's bigger than Facebook, bigger than Twitter. Now this is the sum of years of living in fear while you got the glitter. But it wasn't gold when citizens' hopes were sold to the highest bidder. Go cry us rivers, your crocodile tears are bitter. Sweet surrender, send them off, kicking and screaming with an agreement that the lenders cut them off at the knees and get to freezing bank accounts and whole amounts for what they stole amounts to treason. Till all these clowns start stepping down or skipping town. It's hunting season. Yeah, the air is clear, we're finally breathing. And I can't tell you what it means to me when hearing millions of my people chant for peace and freedom. So rebelling, overwhelming, wish my father lived to see them. Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Oman, Bahrain, Sudan, Somalia, Algeria, Iraq, Maghreb, Lebanon, Kuwait, Urdun, Saudiya, UAE, Mauritania, Djibouti, Qatar, Qamar, Syria, Palestine. And we won't stop until there's Hurriya, Palestine. So we won't stop until there's Hurriya, Palestine. Hey, make some noise, yo. I've been doing this for well over a decade now. I ain't been on MTV yet. I ain't been on VH1 yet. So people ask, is VH1 even around yet? I don't even know. People ask me, what are you doing this for? As if that were the only measure of success for somebody like me. This is what I tell them. Sometimes you really gotta ask yourself what you're in it for. Spinning hours writing, making beats, setting chords up, hoping that crowd shows up, filling they souls up with kinetic energy, potentially blowing up, but not just yet. Anticipating that moment, I caution you, brother. Don't take for granted your own artistic process and participate in this culture that brought Jay to the vultures, Jay Dilla the donuts. Make the crowd go nuts, show them just how their money spent. Practice and shown up, well spent in a grown-up state, mature, steadily evolving, and own up to all the mistakes. People one take owner, graphic MC, descriptive as graphics. Can read your rap, head above the smoke clouds passionately. Speaking on some new topic, changing people gradually. To find the answer to why it is that you're rapping to me. See, I need hip hop, I love hip hop, y'all. Can't stop, won't stop, say it with me. I need hip hop, I love hip hop, y'all. Can't stop, won't stop, Who needs hip hop? Who loves hip hop, y'all? Can't stop, won't stop. We need hip hop, we love hip hop, y'all. Can't stop, won't stop, yes, yes, y'all. And it don't stop until the beat, y'all. And it don't stop, yes, yes, y'all. And it don't stop. Omar Offendum, gotta be the short shot. Make some noise, y'all. I just got inspired to share something with you guys. It's like totally off topic, but it's like the most recent thing I've written, and it's about this beautiful state that we live in called California. You see, I've had the good fortune to travel all over the world for the past 2 years, and each and every time I get on a plane, I just keep telling myself I can't wait to come back to California. Because honestly, I'd rather be in California. No matter where I am, I'd rather be in California. So recognize the blessing of this amazing place that we live in. You see, I've been all around the world, international rap star with a thoroughbred Bedouin ability to be embedded in the surrounding, settling wood, mother of pearl, stay grounded. But something happens when I ain't around it. California scheming on the way to touchdown, talking LAX bound, where the kings get crowned, with the Lakers and the crooks, coppers and the choppers trying to sneak a better look. Consider you illegal, but they'll take you if you cook, because they need cheap labor, just not brown neighbors. 100,000 homeless in the Times front pages, budget cuts, stunned wages. Do it sound outrageous? Neither does Offendum. You got ears, lend them. It's my lesson of the day. The Golden State rule: when it's hot, just stay cool, because that's how we do in California now. Yo, I I mean the whole state. If the coast is Pacific, no need to be specific. From the 510 to the 81.8, scenery sublime, greenery is prime. Yeah, the tourism is booming and the crime rates climb, and the schools is going broke and the millionaires are fine, and the traffic causing havoc at any given time. I'd rather be in a CA state of mind, where the rides get low and the sun doth shine. And there's something profound about the way it sets down. Dodging paparazzi pictures, dodging pictures at the mound. This is my town, homie. Our sound, homie. West Coast till the casket drops the grass on me. There's nothing left to say. LA all day. I'd rather be in California, hey. That's where the palm trees are given. Concrete jungle, calm breeze, hard living. Kicks on a power line, grapes on a sour vine. Jakes on a county line, all points bulletin. Silicon Valley, small chips, big checks. Silicon Sally, fake lips, fake breasts. Billboard slinging loose women, safe sex. Casinos where the broke place bets. See, this is for the Muslims and the mobsters, hipsters and the robsters. Pinoy and la raza, Chumash to the Shasta. Calling Cali home, mi casas, they casa. But them spaghetti westerners imposters. Left coast righteous, with or without wasta. Arabi connects, that's what minimize the cost. If you're trying to be a boss, stop listening to what the haters say, cause I'd rather be in California, hey. Yeah. So this right here is a translation of Nizat Qadani's Qadiyat al-Finjan, aka the coffee cup reader, aka the fortune teller. And when the beat drops, don't clap your hands, just snap your fingers. It goes like this. جلست والخوف بعينيها تتأمل فنجاني المقلوب قالت يا ولدي لا تحزن فالحب عليك هو المكتوب. She sat with fear in both her eyes, pondering this Turkish coffee cup inverted. Carefully she worded destiny and time. Don't you grieve, my son. Love is written for you in the signs, martyrdom. He who dies religiously, but love is blind. Your coffee cup is terrifying. A life of traveling and battling. A lot of love, a lot of death, a load of pain unravels. As you're chasing after every woman on that planet only to return like a defeated king, lascivious and lonely. So, she said love is free. Why did fortune teller charge me a fee just to say that? She said, you're free to love, almost. I'm free to love, but nobody's willing to reciprocate. Now check it. In your future is a girl whose eyes alone can make you praise the Lord. Lips shaped like grapes, beautiful. Her laugh is musical. Still the sky above's a gloomy gray. The rains and pours, roadblock, deadlocked, immutable. Sight unusual. The woman of your dreams sleeping in a palace tower, guarded by bulldogs and soldiers like so, which will make you cower. And the princess of your heart in a slumber from the start. Suitors lost, climbing fences to a brooder. Who'd have thought? I've read many poems and horoscopes before, but I have never seen a coffee cup resembling your coffee cup. Never seen sorrows like the sorrows emanating from this demi-tax. Your destiny, walk on dagger tips of love so many times. A solitude of seashells, weeping willowy wells. You stuck in currents of an oceanic love for females. The details, love and lose a million times only to return like a dethroned king, lascivious and lonely. So this right here is a Barbra Streisand sample. Why do people always laugh when I say that? It's Barbra Streisand. It's actually a song by John Lennon called Love Is. May he rest in peace. One of the greatest songwriters of all time. See, I read between the lines like fortune tellers with a coffee cup. And I ain't talking about them frappuccinos with that frothy stuff. Our peoples are equal standing in the eyes of God we trust. But we're the ones who shoulder blame when errorism's on me. Plus I'm sick of asking why. Wanna kick a passion fly. When a man is rich, weathering golden knowledge, should try to treat the poverty of other brothers with consideration. Knowing that the highest form of flattery is imitation. It's another iteration. The same bitter taste with that same limitation. Faint recollections of her face in a lacing. The bars of a jail where the rain visitation. Man, I hate being patient. Rather be the doctor. Diagnose a higher dose of myoclopra, not your general hospital. Scrubbing soap or opera. Your local roster. Connect the dot. Hope for God to Finjan. Just out of curiosity, how many people have ever been in love? It's kind of sad, yo. When I say one, you say love. One, 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 one. Keep snapping. مقدورك أن تمضي أبدا بحر الحب بغير قنوع وتحب ملايين المرات وترجع كالملك المخلوع. Thank you. I don't know why that always happens, man. People get stunned. I'm like, y'all been in love before? It's like 2 hands up. It's all good. آخ يا عراق الطريق للشام مليء بالدم هلال خصيب من كثر الجثث تحت الأرض الهم والقصص عمين الذنب ما عاد بين شيب هالغيم علمي علمك ألمي حلمك كبر عقلك سكر تمك ولا يهمك اسمع كلمة أمك لما تقلك وين السم روح ورا عيونك أفيونك قوم يا ولدي شم الورد ولم دموعك ابن بلدي شوف البركة بوس كوعك حوى من خيالك افتح ضلوعك واجمع الخير واطلع عكس السير بسكينة شعر ماسكين الشاعر تجرح بالفعل وبيفرح الفاعل ترك الصحراء وهرب على الساحل ليسبح ويمرح بس غرق بالآخر هذا زمن حريته أمل ونيته اعتقال بحري انشغال عقلي احتلال فكري انفصال فقري فوق النخل شاف شمس صباح فخري خمرة الحب كن حذر من شربه يا أبا الناس راحوا بالويل من تجربته إن كان حب إنساني أو وطني اصحى نصيحتي يا أخي صبرك لا تنسى تدير بالك على أهلك ضل ماشي على مهلك ألغام وبنادق بين بيتك وقبرك كل كذب الدنيا هالشاشة بتخبرك الكلام مش سليم بس الله كريم. So, we've been at war for years. Afghanistan has officially become one of the longest wars in U.S. history. And one of the saddest things about that is that lives, human lives, just become numbers. See, we've grown numb to imagery of death and demise. Blind as St. Paul till they saw a Syrian sky miles away. Wars preying on the teariest eyes. Our deaf ears still ain't hearing the cry. Why is it even worth asking anymore? Guilt is but a swinging door with crooked men on either side cushioning each other's fall. Orphans hiding from a devil with dark rings and writers with a conscience feel a pluck at our heartstrings. But very seldom do we bother to speak. Let's believe we're rendered powerless by fatherless creeps. Bastardized politics while our daughters beseech us to let them flee these borders of peace. I wonder if these sad scenarios will still remain as commonplace when I'm a father. I want to face the law without regrets, but I tried harder. Quranic verses that we all live or die by. Ya laytani kuntu turab. Now for those who don't speak Arabic, Ya laytani kuntu turab basically means I wish I was dust or dirt. And it's believed that on that day, when our souls are resurrected, and we're asked if we feel like we've done enough with our time on this earth. Those who don't, that's what they say. A generation, our future's parents robbed of the role models and bottling this anger in until they explode on a road to a dead end paved with empty promises told by our head men who fold on any arms to sell our weapons to finance and set for decadent highnesses, sir. Pluses and minuses, we're stuck in the blindness of war-torn horizons. Forlorn surprises of which border to cover, and if mortars will smother as if all of the other dictators conspicuous wasn't enough for brothers who live within this conspicuous state. Sore thumbs, short crumbs can cure hunger, but what if the post-traumatic stress a 3-year-old will undergo in Baghdad, knowing that they buck dad, growing up to buck back like giving his chain saying that is no surprise. Never got to hear it from his usra. Inna ma'al usri yusra. Inna ma'al usri yusra basically means through hardship comes ease. And what else can you tell a child who's lost everything in this world? Who's seen their family home demolished, family members raped, tortured, murdered. Through hardship, soon will come ease. You keep your eyes on the street, I worry about what's below it. We're paving over a mass grave, no markers to show it. The last words of the lad were bid the Ish Baba know it. His heart of darkness could con radical Marxists and poets. Missing the mark of heroics, listen and hark to the stoic. Transcendentalist flowing, be Emerson and Thoreau at the same moment and blow it. Blame no one and grow with my shame. Tiptoeing through it, they Sykes Pico, the hole in our brains. Wish I could laugh now, but it wasn't funny. The way they cut up our maps, that would have divvy up money that wasn't theirs to begin with. But our leaders were dimwits, too conceited to see that they couldn't beat them and win. With little needs to defend, our people's under attack. Seems that our reigns are seen fade into black. And I had dreamed with a pen, cause my reality's all I don't need to repent. Bohu Allah. You see, I used to wish that Allah had taken us both away. Cause my life without you couldn't stand for one more day. But now I see that I was in over my head. And I just pray for your soul instead. One more. This song right here, hashtag Syria. I want your help on the hook. It's الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. If you can't say it, just go. Nobody else knows. Trust me. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. Cause the people united will never be defeated. I repeat. يريد إسقاط النظام. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. ملينا منكم كلكم يا ولاد الحرام. Listen. The purpose of these verses is to unify the masses. Troops up to Hessa, get badass to Damascus. City streets and countrysides, mountaintops and coastal tides. With some Christian women, men and children. Keep hope alive, stand in solidarity with all your fellow citizens. Peacefully protesting for an end to all the militants. Torture and imprisonment, murdering of innocents. Proving that those lying leaders' will is illegitimate. Like father, like son, mobster or president. Censoring their people, trying to stop the embezzlement. Heavy-handed iron fists dropped on the residents. Deja vu. 82 or 11 and we are all that is all, we are all درع, we are all just مشغول حلبنا أنعز, we are all Hamza, we are all Hama, we are all Syria, hands to the summer saying إسقاط النظام, الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. You find out more about me online, www.offendum.com, or just follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. I've got some CDs to sell at the end of the show. And once again, thank you to Farah, Dr. Ramzi Salti, everybody who's coming here to support us at that time. I love you guys. Peace.
Thanking me for organizing this. I'm not sure why, because what happened was I got to throw a party and invite all my friends, and my dorm paid for it, so it's a pretty good situation. My favorite DJ's here too. Give it up, DJ Emancipacion! And the nicest artist, the most modest, most humble artist you will ever work with, Omar Offendum. Thank you. Please give a warm welcome to DAM!
واحد ايوه يلا لفني
السلام عليكم.
علي الموسيقى
Y'all can dance, right? See your hands up, please. Everyone's hands up. علي الموسيقى علي مين؟
اصلا منه احنا جايين نغني واللي تعبان يقلي علي 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 الموسيقى علي خلي الكل يغنيها واللي مش عاجبه يخلي خلي عنه شو بدنا اصلا منه
من الجيوب تخافوكم مكامل حتى كل المخاطر أهم شي ما الإشي من ولا إشي من المقابل من معي كفر من فوق الحجر علي موسيقى علي أعلى من أي حائر علي 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 موسيقى علي خلي الكل يغنيها واللي نعرفه خلي 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 عنه شو الناقصة منه لا جايين نغني واللي تعبان يقلي علي 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 الموسيقى علي خلي الكل يغنيها واللي مش عاجبه يخلي خلي خلي عنه شو الناقصة منه لا جايين نغني واللي تعبان يقلي ما بدي هالمراية بدي أغني لجمهور لكن ما بلوني بأخبار غير سور في لك خشبة مسرح فرجعت على البيت علمت الشعر وين يوم في مهار أحضر ضمن كرر كل جولة بفوت مواقع أفضل من سن الفار التحيات لبالي فينا فعلك يا باطي صنعت جلوة ساكت رجع من اليابان شوف من معي كفر من فوق الحجر خلي سيو بول علي 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 الموسيقى يس سير خلي عنه شو الناقصة منه خلي شي يغني واللي تعبان يقلي علي 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 الموسيقى واللي مش عاجبه يخلي خلي خلي عنه شو الناقصة منه احنا جايين نغني واللي تعبان يقلي
أنا من النقب أنا من الليل من فلسطين راح أضلني أنا من النقب. This song is called I'm not a trader. I'm not a fucking trader. أنا مش خاين just because I have an Israeli passport. أنا من النقب أنا من يافا أنا من
سجل العرب اللي عندهم تساؤلات انا من العرب اللي عندهم تخفضات براس الصفحة الأولى جملة العروبة مش رخصة وانتم مش بايعين السلع عرب إسرائيل كيف وصلتوا للتحليل إسرائيل روجت جملة وانتم عملتوا تطبيق لتطبيق السخرية لو نسبت السوريين والمصريين لفرنسا والله البريطانية وخطوة كمجامل ولا كإهانة نسبتونا للمستعمرين للمحتلين احنا طالبين بتحسين المعاملة ندوناش بس ما اخترناش بدون مساعدة تصحيح في تنفيذ القضية عارفين من احنا الطريق مش منسية بس عندهم أمل صغير الفلسطين لسه محتلة زهلات مجدي أنا مش خيال 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 أنا اسمي بالعربي أنا مش خيال بكون شرفي مصرف أنا مش خيال أنا مش خيال أنا مش خيال أنا مش خيال شوف كيف سجل انا شايل بطاقة صرفة سجل انا شايل بطاقة شفاف سجل اول صف سجل اول جملة اذا العود جسر مشلول احنا اول خط سجل نشرب حليب بده كم نطلب حلال العربي وقت الام العبري لغة الصراحة بتعايش ورد سلام العدو معدنا شد مقروص بالاطفال سجل احنا بنسجل بالمهب بطاقة النار اخواني ما تقطعونيش هو بيهبط تحت الارض بيسمع الشوارع لما تقولي ما تهوش بالنار صار التطفل فتفرع لعنتنا يومنا مع السلام نهدى مع أحسن لما تقدم مسألة الكريم يرفضوا كنت أحكي بلغتهم بنسوا بوكو Let me check it out now. When I say something you say أنا مش خايف. Let's give it a shot. يلا نتعصبنا شوية زين أنا مش خايف الكل يستسيع الزين أنا مش خايف ترجع ولد بعد السير أنا مش خايف أنا مش خايف نتعصبنا شوية زين تسعى ولا بعد الصيف أنا مش خايف الكل يستطيع الخير أنا مش خايف أنا مش خايف أنا اسمي بالعربي أنا شاربي وصربي مش خايف مين هيك بتحكمني مش خايف أنا مش خايف أنا مش خايف مش حكاتك مش حكاتي ما دوقت منها حاضر منها لمي حكبتي وعرف التأثير إذا بحطك يوم واحد في محلي شعارك راح يصير لنا مش تارك تأثير وصل متمسين مشتركين دولتنا موردين اسم فلسطين لا تتجرأ لا تحكمني على طوق ما نتعمر كيف بطلع منها قوم تدعى صاحة شوية زين الكل يستطيع الخير أنا مش خايف تسع ولد بعد السير أنا مش خايف أنا مش خايف أنا مش خايف أنا اسمي بالعربي مش خايف أنا شاربي وصربي مش خايف مين إذا ما تحكمني مش خايف أنا مش خايف
أنا من طيبة أنا من دهمة أنا من حقيصة من شنير من المحطة I'm from Lib Palestine.
What's the name of the sound guy? Can you put more music? Yo, sound man. Can you put stop showing us?
Ricky.
Can you just put more beat? I just feel that the microphone is a bit higher. أنا غلطان ولا في منه الحكي؟ Can you put the music a bit up? Just so
I'm too loud. I don't like myself. Just please, it's too loud. Number 3 down. Thank you. Such a bad rapper.
It goes like this. It's called Gurbakka and you read it like this. شوف كيف أيوة. عايشين ورا سجون البنود اللي ساجنين غدا ما يتغير مش حاسين ولا نور النسيان احنا شايفين سفر لولا ازرق يا ابيض بمستشفى سكران كده طيب انا صحيت عايش بتسقل جاهز من الامل اللي بس ولو السوري دول انا مربوط فلسطين كجيل لحد لفاضل الارض تجسد وقلب تقلب وتجدد وتجدد والغصه مكتوب للسلام والغصه معروف تحكي لك مريض استسلام أنا ستانفورد are you ready guys and go سجن الإنسانية العالم حرة ولا مالي حقيقي أيوة سجن الإنسانية لأبطال العالم حرة ولا مالي حقيقي بنطول عالسلام بالقوات حرب رواد حرب صرنا أولاد حرب نطلب حرية من السجون المعنية إنه نكون معيون اللي دائما معمية بالتفرج أطفال العالم الحرة دائما ضل بدها تخرج للحياة المرة قوات نشاط تنبه بضفادج الكلام كله قد التحرج بتعرج الأوطان وإحنا نستعمل قوة عشان الصعب نتحمل المحتشم حيتعملنا في الوصول للحياة ولا الدولة ما نناقش بدينا جربنا نخدها وموتنا كل طلبنا كم اللي ضحي عشان وبرضه كم انت قول لي لأطفال العالم حرة ولا مالي أنا مالي حرية وين بشوف حدود سجن الإنسانية يا وري أطفال العالم حرة ولا مالي حرية بشوف حدود سجن الإنسانية يا أطفال العالم حرة ولا مالي حرية
أنا بتنسى عيش عربي وانا بتنسى متعة اجري وانا لسه مشاك الاحتلال ما زاد الا لا مش للسلام مش مساواة بس يهديني حبل مشنقة وكمان مجزرة والجدار اللي فاصل بيني وبين حليلي ما مخلينا اشوف ضوء السماوي الواحد هو 50 ولاية ربي كمان ولاية اللي تضرب عزب غير بنصر من الماء الهنود الحمر متعملة تمحينا تغسل دماغنا تقولنا انه المشكلة احنا بس
حتى جيوش العالم كل ما تقدر على الحرية.
شكرا. على فكرة كان الصوت الناس خبرتوه على
When they asked Mahmoud Darwish, what's your name? He said Sajjad, أنا عربي. When they asked Dr. Dre, he said, fuck the police. And we are the combination in between. It's like the sperm of this guy that was just down. كل ما بطلع أنا بسمعك كل ما بطلع أنا بسمعك بعد بسمع الله يطلع fuck the police coming straight from the underground. Right?
It's a story of 3 guys who were arrested.
But I don't think we're supposed to love. So instead of fuck the police, make love to the police. Okay? مواطن مستهدف. أيوة.
مواطن مستهدف.
It goes like this. بتبدا في المدرسة ابتدائي خلصت الحصة مدرس يقرا اسامي 41 ولد بتصفى الشعر العلم نور انصفى على الراب والتكسار لا ننسى الوسام في الراب ميزانية تعلمنا في مصر مسكت هذا قلت يلا عالسوق بنشتغل بنلاقي شيء بعد ما لقيت اعلان مالوش خاص فيه قلت لهم قالوا لي اسمك قلت همه غيروا ليش ما قلت لهم مرفوضة للوينتا كمان فرجعت الحارة لقيتها مولع الكل ماشي مدرسك ليش شغل بيتهم يهدوا بالتجارة فانضميت من البوليس حبيبي في وش الحيط كل ما بطلع انا بسمعك كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع بعد بسمع الله يطلع Like the police coming straight from the underground
في عنصرية في مساواة نصلح حسابهم النص التاني على حسابنا كمان يوم عدنا بيبدأ بمظاهرة مسيرة مو لسه ضلمة وفيها للشباب وفي الشباب ركز ما في مركز ما لنا تزحها فيلا رياضة ونرفع للشرطة بطلعوا دمعسة طلع معي مسابقة بدنا عالدالة كمان يوم بخلص وانا بالمحطة مش أول مرة ولا آخر مرة بنسافر مرة جاي من هنا ارتقال منزلين على شبكة الانترنت
Can you say put your seat on top? كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع أنا بسمع الله يطلع وأنا كنت فوقي كم شوي كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع أنا بسمع الله يطلع كنت فوقي كم شوي مسموح لك مكالمة مسموح لك محاولة In Arabic we go this موال ليه بنحب نقول أمان زف الشمان يخرب بيتك شو حبيتك يا بنت الله لك بعيدة عني مدورة مني ممنوعة يا ريتك من روسيا واسم امك نتاشا جدتك على البلاء نعمر البيت ولا فوق انا عنا اني شوف بقى شنو لا فيش تعب فيش ماشي هيك فيش ذكر النيسا تركونا عندنا قطيع من البقر ما عندنا ولا اي بتخلى لمشاكل العرب في حلول لليهود هم يربوا احنا نكتب الاضعاف نضل النهار صغير ونصلي على النبي بيبارك كل المكان بيبارك في بلاء زي ما فلاح بالرماح Are you ready one more time?
أديله
كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع أنا بسمع الله يطلع كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع أنا بسمع الله يطلع
كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع كل ما بطلع أنا بسمع بعد بسمع الله يطلع Fuck the police coming straight
بالعربي بنحكي
قصة البوليس ارفعوا بعضيس قصة البوليس ارفعوا بعضيس
خلاص ما صدقتوا عليها Alright guys, قديش فيكم تحكوا عربي؟ استنى شوي please I'm gonna bother you today but I need more volume to my microphone too
and mute the rest
واحد I just can't hear myself inside واحد اثنين أنا مني لإلك دائما طلع كلامي سام ولا بدك نعلى وطار أنا دافع الرطلة okay fine how many قديش فيكم بيحكوا عربي؟ How many of y'all doesn't speak Arabic at all? How many of y'all doesn't speak Arabic at all?
minority
I want to teach you Arabic حتى even حتى العربيين عندنا I want to teach you Arabic للداوي we have a term an expression in Arabic it's called احرق جورج that means burn it George and the story the background of that expression is you know Lid is the biggest drug market in the Middle East
and we're proud of it
okay. And if you have, for example, a drug station here, you have someone who's watching it in case the police comes, so he can announce. He have like this walkie-talkie, and as soon as the police comes, he holds it and he's like, shh, Eric George, and the guy's inside. His name is not George. He just burns it all, and until the police come, there is no evidence. So we took that, and when you don't have evidence, we tell you Eric George. For example, if you say, I have $1 million, and I'm gonna say. Or George. Alright, let's try it. We just heard that Assad resigned. Got it? You got it? Assad, that's a new term. Yeah. Muhammad Munir. We just heard that Assad تنحى. The free man never drinks and we don't like sex. Guys, you are having fun. Suhell is going to drop the best verse in his life.
كلنا نفس الشلة كلنا نفس القعدة كلنا نفس الجنة كلنا نفس الدينة كلنا قهوة مهلبية لو بنشرب تشرب انت ما بتسمع فيها بس اسمع السليلة صوت طلع بعد صرخ جارة لما تكون الحرب سهيل اطلع برا سهيل تعال برا أول شيء شبه تاني شبه نفس حاجة دحاها إذا متحرق جارة ولا تطلع كلنا نفس الشلة كلنا نفس القعدة كلنا نفس الجنة كلنا نفس الدينة كلنا قهوة مهلبية لو بنشرب تشرب انت ما بتسمع فيها بس اسمع السليلة
You're gonna buy the original album, you're not going to download it. Was it right or not? Falafel was made by a Jewish guy called Shlomo Falafelstein.
I believe then and I believe now that the Palestinian people deserve a state of their own.
شو خسسسة تحكي على الجون على فوطة خط مصسسة اسمع مثل باك مان انت متعكر مصاري انا كابتن هيك مراقب بمجالي بخليك تصرف $1,000,000 كالمدمن مركز بكون سطر هو هدوء هو شوفوا هو هجوم هو بالضبط هجوم مثل كوكو هجوم مثل بتاع بكلمة هو محمود اللي سم بخليك تبتسم مثل الناصح نزلتها من الجسم مثل الرصاصة بدخل بحثه بكون جراءة بحثه بنشر بعرفه بالموضة موجة حيه بالأوضة بسمعنا على الهوجة اسلوبي غيره بيكون تاني وردة زيه بيكون عالكي شو غسسسة تحكي على الزون على فروطة بخط مصصصة واسمع ايه بقول شو غسسسة تحكي على الزون على فروطة بخط مصصصة واسمع ايه بقول تحكي على الزون على فروطة بخط مصصصة واسمع ايه بقول. You've been the best crowd you've ever had. Alright, so we are being announced that that's supposed to be the last song. It is not, so let's do something in English and I hope you enjoy it. Too bad guys,
And
but
that will be the last song. There's problems with the neighbors, we have to cut it, so last song.
fucking Israelis. It's a conspiracy.
The occupation.
Yalla, give it up. Mama! I have bad news, ya mama. I was stuck in the elevator with this beautiful, beautiful woman, ya mama. Sit down, ya mama. I have bad news. Because your son fell in love with the Jews.
Oh, I'm in love with it too.
What?
I fell in love with it too.
Her skin is white and my skin is blue. She was going up, I was going down.
Oh,
what?
I'm in love with it too.
Hey.
I fell in love with it too.
Her skin is white and my skin is blue. She was going up, I was going down. At the elevator, no electricity. Between us there was electricity. Was it meant to be? Could she be the one? Her name is not Jamie, but she's got a gun. It was big Hebrew, a bit hard for me. Yes, Avodah means you got a job for me. Does she speak Arabic? She said a word or two. Wakaf ya batucha means freeze or I shoot. She felt suffocating. I felt that the elevator bigger than my house. She felt sweaty, so she got ready and she changed her blouse. Ow. I had to make a move soon. Looks better on you. The green don't suit you. She was cool. She made a move too. She said without the sniper lens, you look cute too.
Oh, I'm in love with it too.
What?
I fell in love with it too.
Her skin is white and my skin is blue. She was going up, going down.
Oh, I'm in love with it too.
What?
I I fell in love with the Jew.
Her skin is white and my skin is red. She was going up, I was going down. At the elevator, we faced some nightmares. She shared her dreams, and I shared. She wanna be a pilot, search the sky. My dream is not to be searched. Every time I fly, be a bitch, she said. If you want to start a legend, I tell cerebral standing on the balcony. For shizzle I said, I'ma use that saying when they'll allow me to build that balcony. Build a house, invite you to my room. Play with Tamer, مش ذهب بين كلثوم. And boom, I will take you to heaven. All she heard was boom and heaven. I said 69, she heard 67. I wanna make you sweet love, but if you wanna make tough love too, for a change cannot be the one to handcuff you. Oh,
I'm in love with the Jew. I fell in love with the Jew.
Her skin is white and my skin is red. She was going up, I was going down.
Oh, I'm in love with the Jew. I fell in love with the Jew.
Her skin is white and my skin is red. She was going up, I was going down. Too bad we have to cut it, but guys, there are laws, there are rules. Shukran, wassalamu alaikum. You've been a wonderful powerful journey. شكرا رمزي، شكرا فرح، شكرا عمر، شكرا دام.
We have to have